Has Australia banned the game Ready or Not? Turn the volume up, let's talk about it, let's get through it, let's get to the bottom of this. Ready or Not, the game has been taken down from the Steam store in Australia, so you can't buy a new copy of it. However, if you were playing it before and you bought it before, then you can still have access to the game, so you haven't lost out there. But you can't get a new copy of the game, which is obviously going to hurt the player base in Australia. For those who need a bit of a background, just real quick with Australia, the Australian Classification Board have denied or refused classification of many games over the years. They've been a little bit better the last 10 years, but I remember in the aughts when Grand Theft Autos were coming out, they would always get refused classification and they had to go back and would get some censored version of the game. South Park Stick of Truth during when Stan Marsh gets an abortion, which is pretty crazy to say out loud, that was all censored over here in Australia. I think the 50 Cent games had issues. Recently, Hotline Miami 2, State of Decay 2, State of Decay 1 were refused classification, and then an edited version came out here. A lot of it nowadays seems to be explicit sexuality, like an abortion scene, even though it's animated, or drugs as some sort of currency or something that's good. So with a lot of the Australian games that come out to the markets now where drugs is a currency, heroin or crack or PCP or whatever will now be renamed to vitamins. It's just vitamin B, and you need those vitamin B shots, man. That's going to be sick, and that's going to help you. So that's usually it's fine. Like very rarely does a game full stop get banned here, but usually we get some washed down version of it if we have a problem with it. Like I said, it has been better over the last 10 years here than it was previously, where they would just ban so many games. I think they've got a bit more of an understanding of it. I still think it's a little bit weird seeing that you can just go on YouTube and watch that abortion scene, no problems, or you can go to Twitch and watch someone playing it. But anyway, ineffective government, right? That's always going to happen. So a lot of people have gone, oh crap, they've banned this game. It's a very violent game. There's suicide bombers. There's a few other issues here. So I read a lot of things that said it was banned. I've watched some YouTubers say this game was banned, and I went, you know what? The Australian Classification Board is a government agency. I bet you they have a phone number. And they do. And I called it and I got a voicemail. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get a call back at all. And then 2 minutes later, lo and behold, someone called me back immediately. So I was actually pleasantly surprised. And I asked them, hey, what's going on with this game? It took them about 10 minutes to find what was going on. I didn't expect that this would obviously be on the top of things. And I'll run through what our conversation was and where we're at. So all those games that I mentioned before were refused classification. It's important to note that refused classification is like a stamp in the ground. Unless this game is edited in some way, we will not allow it to be sold in Australia. Right now, as of this video, the 22nd of April, this game, Ready or Not, has not been refused classification at all. A matter of fact, they were saying that they're openly working with Void Interactive and any publisher that they might have to get this game a classification. So what I can glean by that and go through some of the little behind the scenes things, and I had to sort of ask a few questions that were a bit in the weeds to get my answer, is it looks like Void Interactive never applied for a classification in Australia, thinking that one of the classifications that they got in another country may have ported over. We're very funny with that. There's some that we do agree with, and there's some that we don't. I think Void Interactive is mostly a European developer, and we don't really in Australia view a lot of their classifications over here as to be correct. Usually, I think they've got different rating systems as well, so there's not really a like for like that they can go with. So it looks to be that Void have just not gone through the proper processes in Australia to get the classification. Now, that isn't to say they didn't submit it and then maybe the classification board went back and said, hey, we've got these questions and they just didn't answer these questions. But as of right now, they will never refuse classifications for the game. It's just to be able to trade in Australia, every game needs a classification, and they currently don't have a classification right now. So they may have just been a startup, went back when there was the bare bone days, may just not have applied for it just because there's fees involved, and look, I understand that, and they're a pretty small developer, they would have got away with it. Now that it's a bit bigger, it's been caught out, the government's told Steam, hey, put a hold on that, we need to get this game classified, and apparently they're working with Void Interactive to get it classified. So even though it is very violent, and that has me a little bit worried, especially that there's like suicide bombers in the game, there isn't really any drugs as a currency or anything explicitly sexual And if you look at the link that I'll post down below, it'll have every game that's been banned in Australia. And the last 10 years, it really is the same reason. It's either something sexual or drugs as a currency. So hopefully this is more of an admin thing than anything. I'm hopeful that this game will get off the ground and be back in PC hands very shortly. If anything, it will probably add a bit of hype to them in Australia. And then hopefully it's well and truly ready for the launch on consoles. So yeah, I can see why everyone jumped the gun with this one and went, hey, they've definitely banned it, but I can assure you it is not on any of their databases refused to classify. I think it may have appeared there very briefly, but I think that was just an admin error. They've definitely not refused this game in Australia at all. I think they're just going through the rounds to actually get it a classification. So hopefully that makes sense. Gameplay by my brother. He's got it on PC. He can still play it because he bought it beforehand. The early bird gets the SWAT team, I guess. So yeah, subscribe on the channel if you want to see us play that live or just get various news on games. We're also going to play some funny versions of old version games. So yeah, there's a lot of things happening here. Otherwise, hit the like on the like button. I think just everyone sort of tells you to do it, so I'm telling you to do it now. But yeah, I'm somewhat optimistic. I shouldn't be. The rating board has screwed me so many times as someone who's in their 30s now. And grew up with just like, oh, this game's coming out, and then 2 weeks beforehand being like, nah, you're not getting GTA San Andreas. And man, was I keen for GTA San Andreas. I was very keen for that game, and we just didn't get it on time. But yeah, it just is what it is. If it is kind of, they just didn't go down the proper channels, and this is back in a week, I think that's okay, right? I think that's all right. Like, the game's just got big. The developers just kind of forgotten that Australia has this weird rule. I don't really think anyone's even to blame for this one. I think it's just, especially with studios that are really big, they'll know exactly what they need to do at every country. I'm sure it's just like almost a push button in some content manager that they have, where now, when you're a smaller developer, you're not really going to know the ins and outs of, oh God, some people on an island with a bunch of snakes need this thing done. And I don't know what the fee is either, but it can be, I can't imagine it's cheap. So, they may want to save a little bit of money as well. At the early days. But hopefully we're all right in Australia and we're good. All right. So hopefully everyone can calm down and stop making videos where it's saying that it's banned or putting in Reddit that it's been banned, because it hasn't. They've just taken it down and said, oi, mate, you need to let me see that so I can rate it. And then it's going to be rated R because it's suicide bombers. And then we'll just move on with our lives. We're hopeful that that is the case. If it does get banned, then I will be with the other people who have made the video and go a bit nuts. But this one, yeah, I might be able to understand a little bit better. Anyway, I'm leaving. That's it. I can't talk about classifications of video games anymore. I just want to play games. So I'm out.